Better photo through photo composition. In this video I'm gonna give you my favorite photo composition and how those composition change the way how I take photographs. Let's start off with the first and biggest composition you should know about is the rules of third. So rules of third is basically nothing else like a composition guidelines to help you create better, pleasing looking composition images. What happened with the rule of third is if you switch your grid on with your camera, you get basically those 4 lines which breaks down your image into 9 cubes. You got those intersections, and with those intersections you frame your subject. So basically what you want to do is either to the right or to the left, you want to frame your subject to create more space to the left or to the right of your image, which then draws the attention towards your subject. Rules of third is very common in photography but also in videography, so definitely worth considering when going out next time to switch your grid on from your camera and try the rules of third and place your subject in one of the intersections of your LCD screen, and you will see how this will create a better pleasing looking composition in your photograph. Another composition I use quite often is leading lines, and this doesn't matter if I shoot landscape, if I shoot portraits. I try to incorporate any sort of leading lines into my image. It can be a person standing in the middle of a road where the road leads to the person you're photographing and draws the attention from your eye into your subject, or it is a road which runs through your landscape image and draws the attention from your eye into the image. A leading line can be literally anything. It can be a handrail, it can be a street, it can be a road. It can be anything what leads or draws the attention from your eye into your subject or into your photograph towards the subject. Another composition I use quite often as well is any sort of foreground elements. What I mean by that is, or how you want to do this is very simple. When you go out and take some pictures, try to go a bit lower with the camera. Try to capture more of the foreground or any sort of foreground elements which are available. This will create 3 layers in your image: a foreground, a middle ground and a background layer, and breaks your image basically down into 3 layers and gives your image also a completely different dimension. But also you could use foreground elements such as like a bush where you have the leaves running through your picture to frame basically the subject you would like to photograph. So definitely try out some sort of foreground elements. It can be a bush which frames your subject, it can be leaves, it can be a tree, it can be the street in a foreground element. See what sort of subject you would like to photograph and just go a bit lower with your camera and try to capture some of the foreground elements, and you see how you get the 3-dimension picture with the foreground, middle ground and background, and you're going to see how this will change your photograph. Another thing I do is I fill a frame as a composition. I like to do this with headshots or interesting people when I photograph faces. Sometimes you just want to have the face, the whole face in your image and draw the attention towards this person because this person got a very interesting style, look, or just overall looks interesting to look at. Fill a frame, go as close as you can and fill a whole frame with a subject. Leave as little space around this subject you're photographing or this person, and you're going to see how you get a different image as well. When you do this with portraits, make sure you follow the rules of third and place a intersection on the eye to make sure that your composition is still pleasing to look at and overall the composition is right. However, if you do this with other subjects, let's say a flower or anything similar, go as close as possible, keep it in the center of a rules of third or of your LCD and go as close as possible, and you will see how this will change the dramatic look of your image because the attention is there what you're photographing. It's like boom right there and there's nothing around, just the subject you're photographing. So definitely try some fill a frame next time when you go out photographing. Another composition I do quite often when I shoot boudoir photos is I try to frame my subject, and framing your subject works also with street photography, landscape, product photography, you name a subject. There's always a way how you can frame your subject. Let's say I do this when I shoot boudoir photos. I use a door frame to frame my subject, or I leave a door a bit open and leave a door halfway within an image to frame my subject in a background. It's a very simple, easy way how to create a three-dimensional image. You got your foreground, you got your middle ground and your background again. And in a background, your person can fall into blurriness as well. It just gives you a different sort of feeling to the image if you frame your subject with any sort of available lines, doors, or whatever it might be. Try to frame your subject. But you can do this also when going out to do some street photography as example, or landscape or cityscape photography. Try to frame your subject, what you want to photograph. Let's say you got a tower and you got some sort of bush, trees, leaves, which you can incorporate halfway into your image to draw the attention towards the tower you wanted to photograph. So definitely try to frame your subject, whatever subject you might photograph. And last but not least is just forget everything I said and just go out, have fun and try to be unique. You can turn your camera around, give it a 90-degree angle to take your photograph, or do whatever you want to do. Just be unique. At the end of the day, the photographs, the composition and what you have photographed in this moment needs to be pleasant for you, or you need to like it. And whatever else I said on composition tips, tricks, or what you should follow doesn't really matter. As long as you are happy, and if you photograph a person, this person is happy with the end result as well. So be unique, go out, try and see what works for you, what doesn't work for you, or how to create pleasing looking images. And with that said, guys, I hope you liked this video today. Like, comment, subscribe, do all the good stuff. And if you got any composition tips or favorite composition, let me know in the comments. And with that said, like, comment, subscribe, and I'm gonna see you, my friend, in another video soon. Cheers, mate.